Your neighbor stops you on your way to church and hands you a $20 bill and says, hey, would you mind dropping this in the collection plate? I know you're going to church. So you go to church and you drop his 20 in the plate. And then you pull $2 out and put it back in your pocket. We're going to discuss this concept and how it applies to the fuel surcharge program here at Prime right after this.
Everybody get up.
Hey everybody, it's me, Mark Staite, back here talking with you. Welcome, come aboard, have a seat, sit down. Alrighty, hang on, put your seatbelt on. Part 3 of the fuel surcharge series. One more part after this, we'll get to it. Today, we're going to discuss, or actually I'm going to share my opinion on what I think about the fuel surcharge program here at Prime. Like I stated in the earlier video, monetarily, it's a little bit of money. It depends on what you think real money is. Is $1,600 a year real money? To me, that is, but it's not a deal breaker. It's not going to make me wig out and, go bonkers. There's a bigger problem for me with how Prime does fuel surcharge. If you haven't watched the other two videos, please go watch them. That way this one will make sense. Okay? Because as we learned in the previous two videos, Prime has a mechanism in place that creates an excess fuel surcharge. And in that excess is where they're keeping 28%. And in the last video we saw where it was $43.82 of the total amount that was collected from the customer. Percentage-wise, it's about 10%. And I did look at a couple other different loads just out of sheer morbid curiosity, and I found it averaged anywhere from 10% to 15% of the total revenue, fuel surcharge revenue collected from the customer that Prime kept. Now, the opening of this video, I gave you a concept to think about, okay? You're headed out to church, your neighbor comes up in the bathroom and says, hey, I know you're going to church, take this $20 bill, drop it in the plate for me, I can't make it to church. So you go to church and the plate comes around and you drop the $20 in and then you pull $2 out and put it in your pocket. Is there anything illegal about that? No. Does your neighbor know you did it? No. Does the preacher know you did it? Only if he's looking. And that's where the dilemma comes in. I was looking. I saw the 10% getting pulled out of the fuel surcharge plate. Somebody actually asked the question from last week's video, and I'll put it up right here and down here. We'll post it up here. I'll just shorten it up here, I guess. But the question was asked, Mark, is it legal, or actually is it illegal for brokers or carriers to keep a portion of the fuel surcharge money that's collected? The short answer, no. There's nothing illegal that I know of. And this goes back to the history of the fuel surcharge program that started back in the 70s. In trucking, this is one of those things that's a gentleman's agreement. It's a negotiated gentleman's agreement, basically done on a handshake. There's no legislation, there's no laws governing fuel surcharge. It's just a tradition of what was mutually agreed upon between the customer through the carrier to the independent contractor. Remember what the goal was historically? That's right, to offset or defray the cost of fuel for the entity responsible for purchasing the fuel. Sometimes it was the carrier. Well, back then it wasn't. It was always an independent. But now, today, flash forward, yeah, carriers are charging fuel surcharge and they're keeping it because they have company drivers pulling the freight. The company's paying for the fuel. As a lease operator or an owner operator, we pay for the fuel. So the gentleman's agreement has always been you pass the fuel surcharge through to the owner operator or the lease operator. And as we learned, Prime's not doing that. Is it illegal? And again, no. It's not. The last time legislation was attempted to be brought forward, to my knowledge, was back in 2005 when OOIDA, the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association out of Missouri, tried getting a bill brought forward to basically spell out the fuel surcharge, that whatever's collected from the customer via a carrier or broker, 100% is to be passed through to the owner-operator or the lease operator, whoever's paying for the fuel, basically. So OIDA tried to put in writing what has always been a gentleman's agreement, a basic negotiated, concept. But nothing got done with it. It never passed, it never went forward, nothing happened of it. And now here we are today in 2015, and we've got carriers and brokers, I'm sure, like Prime as an example, that is skimming 10% off the top. In my opinion, it's not the right thing to do. Nothing illegal, just not, in my opinion, again, not good business practice. It's not a good business practice, because I've looked at my lease contract. There's really nothing in there that spells out anything about fuel surcharge. Line haul, 72%, spells out my lease. Even when I look online, I looked online to see if there was any legal thing in the, any legal text anywhere containing fuel surcharge, and there's not. So, from my point of view, it goes back to, how was I recruited? And I remember specifically, I asked this question 3 times. Does Prime pay 100% of the fuel surcharge? I asked it on the showroom floor at the convention in Dallas during a Great American Truck Show when I talked to the recruiter. And twice during orientation at Prime, I asked that question, are we paid 100%? And all 3 times, I was told yes. To me, okay, that says, as a new driver, I should expect 100% of the fuel surcharge. So, hopefully Prime can understand my perspective when I look at it and go, wait a minute, we're not being paid. Here I am driving, we're not being paid 100% of the fuel. So when I start asking questions, all of a sudden now I'm getting the circle of not my department, I don't know anything about it, check with this department, check that department, check that. Can you see why I'm a little bit butthurt out here about it? Again, it's not the dollar, it's the concept. I was recruited saying yes 100%, when the truth is, it's only about 90%. In my brain, it raised the question, okay, if they're, for lack of a better term, skimming 10% off the fuel surcharge, what other parts of the business model are they creating mechanisms to create a line item revenue generating item? Maintenance, maybe? What about the IFTA fuel tax that they process for us? I haven't dove into that yet. Am I going to find anything irregular when I do? Insurance? Could I be paying cheaper insurance by getting my own from the outside? Is Prime... See the questions it's raising? So when my fleet manager says, Mark, you have to trust the freight network, that we're getting you the best... Trust the fleet network? How, in my brain, how can I trust the company when I'm showing they're skimming 10% of the fuel surcharge off the top, that in my opinion they have no right to? Now, don't get me wrong, it would be a totally different game. This would be a totally different video series if Prime was paying for any part of the fuel on the tractor or this reefer trailer. You know, if Prime was saying, okay, Mark, you're responsible for the tractor fuel, we're going to take care of the reefer fuel. Not a problem. I got no problem giving up 10% because the company's paying for reefer fuel. But that isn't the case. I'm paying for 100% of the fuel on the tractor and trailer. So, like I mentioned, or what I'm going to post now is the $1 million question. Prime, if I'm paying 100% of the fuel, why am I not collecting 100% of the fuel surcharge? Why not? That's the reason the whole thing was set up. To offset or defray the cost of fuel to the entity purchasing the fuel. That's me. This truck. That's me, not you. So hopefully some fireworks are going off in your brain now, making you want to look at your settlements with your company. Take a look at them. See what it's costing. One more video to go, and that is going to be on next week, next Friday. I'm going to post this one up next. The last video on this fuel surcharge. We've had a month of this. We're going to be done with it in a month. How to maximize your profits and create a fuel strategy for yourself. A fuel strategy to maximize the fuel surcharge that your company program has for you. That's coming up next week. That does it for me. I'll see you then. Time to get out of here.